A very good evening and welcome to English News Bulletin here on Rwanda Television. We are glad to have you with us. Let's begin with the top stories of the day. The Rwanda Defense Force spokesperson Brigadier General Rwanda announced that 5 civilians and left 35 others have been injured. Refugees from the Democratic Republic of Congo living in Rwanda express the need for the DRC government genuine commitment to resolving the long-standing security issues. On the international scene, the M113 armored personnel carriers have proven indispensable to Ukraine's fighting forces. My name is Olivnet, and it's always a pleasure to have you with us. I hope you started the week well. Now let's go deep in the news in details. The Rwanda Defense Force spokesperson Brigadier General Rwanda announced that 5 civilians were injured and 35 others were left injured, killed by bomb shells from the DR Congo on Monday, January 27. The shelling followed reports earlier in the day that the M23 rebels had captured the city of Goma. The RDF reassured the public that the nation's security remains intact and that Rwanda's sovereignty is fully safeguarded.
Several rockets were fired from across the DRC-Rwanda border in Rubavu district by the coalition of DRC and FDLR forces. So we are taking all necessary measures, defensive measures, to maintain the security along the border and to ensure that our territorial integrity is protected.
Yes. What is the current situation in general?
No, it's continuous bomb shells coming from across, which are signs of a desperate enemy, trying to, perform the last acts by shelling into Rwanda.
Yes, we noticed the presence of the RDF soldiers in Rubavu ensuring the safety of the population. What are the future defense measures being considered?
No, having forces there is a necessary measure. It's a necessary measure to preempt any incursions into our territory. So it is a standard operating procedure. We need to protect our borders to avoid any penetration by the forces, the DRC forces and the FDLR. So that is the reason for forces being deployed along the border. So we are taking, as I mentioned, all necessary defensive measures to ensure that the border is protected.
Among what we've also noticed is FRDC soldiers crossing into Rwanda. What is the next step to this?
Yes, we've received over 120 FRDC soldiers and a number of FDLR soldiers have been, handing themselves in. I think you remember we had about 8 that came about a week ago, and several others are coming in within that mix. So we are receiving them, we are disarming them, and taking them to the usual reception centers for clearance and possible integration where necessary. But for the FRDC, I think we'll have to look for ways. We shall hold them and look for ways of handing them back at a future date.
Well, without taking much of your time, what is your message to the population during such challenging times?
I want to assure all Rwandans living along the border and beyond to remain calm. We are taking all necessary defensive measures to protect the population near the border and to ensure that we protect ourselves from within and from without where necessary.
Yes. So as we also sum up, what is Rwanda's stand in this situation, and how are you making sure that the situation, comes to an end?
I think we only have to remain robust because we have our stand. Our stand is simple, that a political solution must be met, and we as RDF are supposed to stand by and protect our territory and wait for political actors to take their course.
Thank you very much, Brigadier General Ronald Rwanda.
Thank you very much for having me.
During an interview we had earlier today with the RDF spokesperson, Brigadier General Ronald Rwanda. Moving ahead, still on regional security matters, political analysts in the Great Lakes region argue that the recent recapture of Goma by M23 rebels sends a powerful signal. It underscores that if the Congolese government continues to undermine what they are fighting for, instability and insecurity will persist in the eastern part of the country. We have more on this story.
Since the onset of their campaign to assert their rights as Congolese, primarily Congolese Tutsi who speak Kinyarwanda, M23 rebels have seized the city of Goma for a second time. After the expulsion in 2013, the group was unable to reorganize as many fighters had fled to Uganda and Rwanda. It was not until 2021 that they regrouped with those who had taken refuge in Uganda, resuming their fight, driven by their perception that the Democratic Republic of Congo's leadership had failed to honor the agreements intended to address their cause. After more than 3 years of intense fighting against the Congolese FARDC army in collaboration with other groups such as FDLR, Wazalendo, SADC troops and Burundi, M23 rebels have not been pushed back or defeated. The latest report is the capture of Goma by M23 rebels. Analysts view this as a decisive message to both the international community and the Congolese leadership, highlighting their failure to address the underlying issues fueling the conflict and deliberately neglecting to resolve the root causes of the rebellion.
Ya spirit y'abantu bavuga ngo twarapfuye twarishwe.
The spirit of people who say that we have died, that they killed us, and we tried so hard to fight for our rights. Our people have been refugees for more than 30 years. We cannot just let it go like that. That kind of mindset and goal to be forgotten is impossible. It is a lesson to the international community that just stands by watching small problems evolve into big ones. The international community cannot just say that they're surprised by this. They saw it coming. They heard about it.
Footage circulating on social media depicts the joy of some Goma residents following the city's capture, while some celebrated with dancing, other images showing looting by Congolese forces. Analyst and lawyer Alois Mutabinga assert that the fall of Goma could mark the end of the violence inflicted on the local population in the region.
I find it to be a move to secure Goma than to insecure Goma. The reason being that for quite some time, from when other pockets of the eastern Congo were subject of these armed conflicts, Goma has never been secure. And there has been economic insecurity, theft, and other acts of plundering, innocent people's material wealth. There's been corruption, taking money and other material things from people in the disguise of giving them security. And there has been illegal trading around there, no question about it, including some foreign actors preoccupied with illegal trading than anything else. And that causes insecurity. Actually, it escalates the causes of insecurity around these areas, especially these that are known to be rich in natural resources. Surprisingly, those who've been in those acts are those who are constitutionally responsible for guaranteeing security to people, to the citizenry. So for me, the move to occupy Goma, Bukavu, and other parts of eastern Congo are measures that provide security.
The DRC has repeatedly stated that it has no intention of negotiating with M23. However, Jean-Baptiste Gaseminari believes that a solution to the M23 issue should be pursued through dialogue.
You can clearly see that the world is now more alert, yet they still do what is not right. If you look at the announcement made by the international community, it is clear that there is no will to solve the existing problems. When we speak out, people often think we are exaggerating. However, the situation in Eastern DRC is not one that cannot be resolved. In fact, if there is a problem that is easy to solve, it's this one. Those involved in the conflicts are asking for something truly simple.
There are concerns that M23 could be driven out of Goma once again, as occurred in 2013. However, analysts believe that M23 is now resilient and unlikely to be displaced by any external pressure. The capture of Goma comes after the group had already seized several other key towns in North Kivu province, including Masisi, Ngungu, Sache, and others. Enora Gladys, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Enora, for a detailed report. Now, refugees from the Democratic Republic of Congo living in Rwanda expresses the need for the DRC government genuine commitment to resolving the long-standing security issues that have led many of them to remain in exile for over 28 years. Adam Squizera unpacks the report.
Chiziba refugee camp, situated in Karongi district, Western province, has been home to Congolese refugees since 1996. Uwimana Agnes, who arrived at Chiziba refugee camp at the age of 10, and now is the headmistress of the nursery school in the camp, recalls the long journey of over 90 kilometers from Masisi through Minova and Goma to Rubavu in 1996. Agnes fled after the FDLR, a genocidal militia group, killed her parents. It's a journey that is similar with many others, including Kwizera Mbera, who has been in Chiziba refugee camp for over 28 years.
We then heard that they started killing our Tutsi neighbors around the village. We noticed they had a list of people they planned to kill and the deaths as well. And when we realized our turn was near, we fled. Along the way, we encountered others who were trying to kill us.
They began spreading genocide ideology to our neighbors. They started stealing our cows and killing us one by one. Later in 1996, we decided to cross the border, though it was difficult. These refugees also emphasize that the issues should not be blamed on Rwanda, as they are Congolese by origin, just like the members of the M23. We know them from the CNDP, and they are Congolese. Even my firstborn died on the front fighting for M23. They have land, cows, and houses there. It's literally their home. They are our young and older brothers, but calling them Rwandans ignores the root causes of this issue.
There are those we know who went to the battlefield to fight for our rights.
President Kagame emphasized that one of the overlooked aspects is the lack of understanding behind why the Congolese armed group M23 is fighting against the DRC forces.
Why do we have over 100,000 refugees here in Rwanda, originating from that region? Why? Why do we have refugees here? Is it because Rwanda wants refugees and attracted them from Congo to come to Rwanda? I said the first question, M23, why would they be fighting? They just like fighting. So, in the fighting that is happening in Eastern Congo, and you call that violation of sovereignty, territorial integrity, how does it arise? On one hand, these are Congolese. On the other hand, they are foreigners. So how do they combine these two identities? How do they happen to be Congolese on one hand, and then they are foreigners who have invaded Congo and therefore breaching everything about sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Fleeing the insecurity in Eastern DRC has become a daily reality for Rwanda-phones Congolese. Some have recently arrived at the Ngamira Transit Center, including Guamararo Clever, who fled after the FDR looted his properties and killed his children, leaving him with nothing. They stole the only cow I had left, taken by FDR alongside Nyatura. The only remaining child was killed, and my wife was here in the camp of Ngamira. I decided to come because I was left with nothing. Since last Friday, a significant number of Congolese have been fleeing to Rwanda. And even today, the influx continues as people flee the ongoing insecurity in Eastern DRC. The deputy spokesperson of the government of Rwanda, Ale Mukurarinda, emphasized that the government of Rwanda is prepared to continue receiving refugees in the line with the international law, ensuring their protection and support. From the beginning of the escalation of these fights coming towards Goma, our government officials responsible for handling refugees are prepared to receive anyone who identifies themselves as a refugee. Rwanda is ready to receive them. In the last few hours, the M23 announced the capture of the city of Goma. Since Monday morning, some FRDC soldiers have begun fleeing to Rwanda, where they were disarmed by the Rwandan Defense and Security Forces. We fought all the way from the airport, but we were defeated. We fled and came here to Rwanda. For me, the capture of Goma by M23 shows that President Faci has failed from where the war began up to now. Those refugees in Rwanda hope to repatriate to their homeland in the near future. Our boys will fight for us and resolve the issue. Despite hosting over 100,000 refugees, Rwanda continues to put in place favorable policies enabling the socio-economic inclusion for refugees. Adam Squizera, reporting for RTV News in the western province of Rwanda.
Thank you, Adams, for the detailed report. Now, moving ahead, on Monday, ceremony to commemorate the Holocaust was held at the Kigali Genocide Memorial at Gisozi under the theme For a Better Future. The event was attended by several dignitaries, including the German ambassador to Rwanda, Ambassador Heik Utadetman, the Israeli ambassador to Rwanda, Ambassador Einat Weiss, the UN resident coordinator in Rwanda, Dr. Uzonia Ojielo, the Minister of National Unity and Civic Engagement, Dr. Jean Damascene Bizimana, alongside other distinguished guests. The keynote address emphasized the importance of fighting hate speech, discrimination, and any ideology that can lead to genocide. The message urged global solidarity in preventing such atrocities from reoccurring, stressing the need to promote peace, justice, and unity for all people worldwide.
N'indi miryango mpuzamahanga hari gahunda zimwe na zimwe igendamo gahoro.
The international community as well as other international organizations sometimes work too slowly on certain issues, particularly when it comes to preventing and punishing genocide crimes. Political interests often interfere, which can delay justice. However, in recent years, some countries have made significant efforts. For example, France, which spent over 20 years supporting the perpetrators of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi without punishing those who fled there. In the past 10 years, there have been progress. There have been some trials. Notably, in 2024, 3 trials were held, and in December, Charles Onana was convicted by the Paris Criminal Court for genocide denial and negation. This is a significant step forward. This progress is the result of the United Nations resolutions urging countries to adopt laws to punish genocide crimes and the denial of the genocide against the Tutsi. Some countries have already implemented such laws. While the progress is not as fast as we would like, at least steps are being taken. It is important to acknowledge that many of these criminals are aging and dying, and justice may not be fully achieved in time. However, days like the commemoration of the Holocaust remind us that efforts must continue to prevent hate speech and genocide ideology. The victims who lost their lives deserve justice, and those who are still alive need to be protected. We must act now rather than waiting for the people to die and then setting measures in place.
To other matters, the Inspector General of Rwanda National Police, CG Felix Namuranye, called for enhanced collaboration in addressing security challenges in the region during the opening of the East African Police Chiefs Cooperation Organization General Assembly. In his address, he stressed the importance of working together to combat a variety of security threats affecting East Africa. The meeting, which brings together committees focused on counterterrorism, cyber crimes, criminal investigations, legal matters, gender equality, security and technology-related crimes, serves as a platform for discussing collective strategies. Kano Aimable Mutagatifu, Deputy Director General of the Prosecutor General's Office in Burundi, echoed the call for regional cooperation in tackling crime. EAPCO Secretary General Africa Ndahangarwa Apol highlighted terrorism as one of the region's most pressing concerns and underscored the need for cross-border collaboration to combat it effectively. Over the course of the two-day assembly, the committee members will evaluate progress made, identify areas of improvement, and address any shortcomings. A comprehensive report will be drafted for review by the police chiefs, who will analyze the findings and forward them to the ministers responsible for police affairs. This event is part of the 26th Annual General Assembly of Senior Police Leaders from East Africa, beginning Wednesday, with the goal of strengthening regional efforts in ensuring security and stability. Now to Rwanda's economic sector. The National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda demonstrates that employment opportunities for many increased in Rwanda at the end of 2024, as the employment rate rose by 2.1% compared to the end of 2023. Prince Manzi with more.
Lawrence Uimana received capital to start a mobile phone business, an opportunity she shares with Annalise Karasira, who secured it at the end of the last year. There's a lot of experience in terms of growth and connecting, which can lead into introducing your own business. I started with small capital and it was a gradual growth. I receive a lot of clients and I love my job. In November 2023, the unemployment rate was 16.8%. Due to the employment opportunities that arose, this figure decreased by 2.1% in November 2024, reaching 14.7%. Entrepreneur Emmanuel Nijena, who runs an online business, is pleased with the way he's contributing to reducing unemployment.
We provided more than 100 jobs to what we would call digital ambassadors. These are people who help an average individual or a civilian to get what they want. It might be looking for a house, land or car. In other words, we aim to create even 2,000 jobs across the country. We are talking about an average 6 to 7 people per sector, who can a minimum of 6 to 7 people per sector who will be helping the community to access any product or services in a digital means, instead of slacking and delaying and then having to go through all bureaucracy or the traditional way of connecting buyers and sellers, or we usually call brokers. Interestingly, these people are our partners, or we call them, just like the way you see banks have agents, the way you see communication companies have agents. These are people who are maybe paid on attendance as well as commissions, which means they need to be able to embrace the new way of working in a world that entrepreneurs want to see their result. Therefore, they need to work, and as they work, they earn more. The opportunities are given. It means the more you work, you can even earn 3 times more money than you would have earned on a standard salary.
The National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda demonstrates that active job seekers account for 14.7% of the population. Economic expert at the World Bank, Dr. Kevin Zebaze, states that the labor market has been progressing due to the growth in the economy.
The Rwandan consumer has been very confident, consuming substantially. So this growth from the demand side has been mostly driven by the consumer, by the consumption of the private sector. The banking sector has been very generous, offering loans. The labor market also improved substantially. At the same time, we are having reduction of inflation. So all this contributed, in fact, to high consumption, which really helped big time for the GDP growth in the country. The country, in terms of labor market, has fully recovered, in fact, from the loss from the COVID. The employment rate of the country, on average, increased also by 5 percentage points, which means that where we are now, the employment rate in Rwanda is around 3 percentage points higher than where we were before the COVID crisis.
The employment opportunities mentioned in the report are in addition to those of about 500,000 people who found work over the 3 years between 2021 and 2023. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
Alo, waramutse sheri wanjye.
Utekereza ko guhora wivuganya n'umushu ari byo birenze? Natwe niko tubibona. Ubona nta cyakurutira kugaragaza impano yawe. Niko bimeze.
So guys, uyu munsi tugiye kuganira ugaseke. Agaseke njye gafite byinshi. Kamari, ese wowe kakumari iki?
Manudi. Halo Manudi, niba icyo uri kunkura mu kazi?
Pero mabusha, byahiye kandi noneho bimeze neza cyane. Umva ukuntu biri no guhumura.
Ako Manudi, urumva nakumva ko ibiryo bihumura koko?
Ubona nta cyakurutira umwuga wawe. Erega, natwe niko tubibona. Dushyigikiye buri kimwe agaciro mu buzima bwawe na irekure nshya. Buri wese arahishiwe, wikwisondeka. Kanda akanyenyeri 150 urwego, uhitemo agaseke kawe ka packs zo guhamagara. Cyangwa akanyenyeri 345 urwego, uhitemo bando za internet uryoherwe n'umuvuduko wa 4G.
You're still watching RTV News. Now let's take a look at what is happening beyond the borders of Rwanda. Amidst the ongoing war in Ukraine, the M113 armored personnel carriers have proven indispensable to Ukraine's fighting forces. Designed to carry a 2-person crew, a driver and a gunner, these versatile vehicles are playing a crucial role in enhancing mobility and providing protection on the battlefield. VOA tells us more on this.
Ukrainian soldier Vitaly Kovalchuk, who goes by call sign Passepartout, says his American M113 armored personnel carrier is part of the reason he is still fighting.
Our unit was completely surrounded. We needed to bring in a reserve group, and the whole route was under fire on the left side. Then a manual anti-tank grenade launcher hit the front of the vehicle directly. So we started turning around, and after some 400 meters, something like a portable anti-aircraft missile complex hit us again.
Yet the M113 managed to escape, Kovalchuk says.
I looked at the tachometer, saw the arrow move, and realized the vehicle hadn't stalled. I was really surprised. I hit the gas, and it started moving. I was so happy. I can't put it into words.
Kovalchuk worked in the film industry before Russia's invasion of Ukraine. After February 2022, he took his family to a safer area and joined Ukraine's armed forces. He was first introduced to the American M113 in the fall of 2022.
It's agile and fast. Compared to Soviet infantry fighting vehicles and tanks, it's much quieter and more maneuverable.
The M113 holds a two-person crew, a driver and a gunner. 23-year-old gunner Alexei Dmitrenko managed to leave his home city of Mariupol after the start of Russia's invasion. He joined Ukraine's armed forces, initially fighting in the Zaporizhzhia region and later Donbass.
If you compare it to a Russian infantry fighting vehicle, with the latter, you end up with casualties almost every time. But here, we've been through many situations, many direct and indirect hits, shrapnel. It holds up really well. When you're inside, you're confident you'll come back.
In December 2024, Ukraine's Ministry of Defense reported that some M113s had been upgraded with new combat modules that allow the gunner to fire while staying inside the vehicle, making it even more effective. Anna Kostyuchenko for VOA News, Donbass, Ukraine.
This brings us to the end of tonight's bulletin, but before we leave, a reminder of the top stories that made the edition. On Monday, the Rwanda Defense Force noted that 5 civilians were killed by bomb shells from DRC and 35 other people were injured. Refugees from the Democratic Republic of Congo living in Rwanda expressed the need for the DRC government's genuine commitment to resolving the long-standing security issues. On the international scene, the M113 armored personnel carriers have proven indispensable to Ukraine's fighting forces. And that marks the end of today's bulletin. Thank you for joining us on behalf of the entire news team. We wish you a productive week ahead. Take care and goodbye.
umugoroba mwiza kuri mwese abadukurikiye ikaze ku mwanya w'iteganyagihe mugiye kugezwa